In the last video, I tracked the alignment from Lucknow, the capital of India's state of Uttar Pradesh, and an important regional center of North India, through Bareilly, also in the state of Uttar Pradesh, and called the main gate of the Himalayas, to Amritsar, in northwestern India's state of Punjab, close to the country's border with Pakistan. My name is Michelle Gibson. Next on the alignment is Lahore, the capital of the Punjab province of Pakistan, and only 51 miles or 31 kilometers from Amritsar in India's Punjab state, and directly connected to each other via the railroad. The Punjab is a historical region of South Asia in the northern part of the Indian subcontinent, and was the cradle of the ancient Indus Valley civilization, which was largely in modern Pakistan. More about this shortly. The Great Exhibition of the Works of All Nations, held in the Crystal Palace in 1851, was also known as the Great Shalimar, a reference to the Mughal garden complex in Lahore, pictured here, where you see the 8-pointed star and similar design patterns on the Great Exhibition brochure. I think these design patterns of 8-pointed stars were significant ones for the ancient advanced civilization, because I find them everywhere, including, but far from being limited to, the Mabel Tainter Theater in Menominee, Wisconsin. The Shalimar Gardens are located at the Lahore Fort, described as a citadel on the northern end of the walled city of Lahore. This is a view of the Alamgiri Gate of Lahore Fort. From the Badshahi Mosque, called an example of Mughal architecture, with its exterior of carved red sandstone and marble inlay. Lahore Fort passed to British colonialists when they annexed the Punjab region following their victory over the short-lived Sikh Empire, which lasted from 1799 to 1849, and which had replaced the Mughal Empire here in the Battle of Gujarat in February of 1849. The Battle of Gujarat was part of the Second Anglo-Sikh War, a military conflict between the Sikhs and the British East India Company that took place in 1848 and 1849. The last Mughal emperor in India, Bahadur Shah Zafar, was deposed by the British East India Company in 1858 and exiled. Through the Government of India Act of 1858, the British Crown assumed direct control of the British East India Company-held territories in India in the form of the New British Raj, and in 1876, Queen Victoria assumed the title of Empress of India. Lahore was central to the independence movement of India, with the city being the site of the Lahore Congress and the promulgation of the Declaration of Indian Independence. Nehru hoisted the new tricolor flag of India on the banks of the Ravi River in Lahore on December 31st of 1929, resolving the Congress and nationalists to fight for Purna Swaraj, or self-rule independent of the British Empire. But when independence from Britain came about, it was definitely not a smooth and harmonious process. The 1947 boundary partition of what was British India divided it into two independent Dominion states, the Union of India and the Dominion of Pakistan. Today they are called the Republic of India and the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. It involved the division of two provinces, Punjab and Bengal, based on district-wise non-Muslim or Muslim majorities, and resulted in the dissolution of the British Raj. The partition displaced 10 to 12 million people along religious lines and created overwhelming refugee crises in the newly constituted dominions, and large-scale violence and deaths. Why was this even done this way in the first place? The walled city of Lahore, also known as the Old City, forms the historic core of Lahore, and was the capital of the Mughal Empire at one time. Here's a view of the walled city of Lahore on the left, showing what looks to be very similar to a Star City configuration, like the example of the imperial city of Hue in Vietnam on the right. Here are some sites in the walled city of Lahore. This is Lawrence Hall of what is now the Quaid-e-Azam Public Library in Lahore, said to have been built in the neoclassical style in 1866 during the time of the British Raj in the Victorian era. And Montgomery Hall, part of the same public library complex and said to have been built in the 1870s, compared with the White House in Washington, D.C., for similarity of appearance. We are told that neoclassical architecture began in the mid-18th century in Italy and France, and that its roots date back to the 17th century when Claude Perrault decided to revive ancient Greek architecture with his design of the east facade of the Louvre in Paris. This is a comparison of the colonnade Perrault is famous for having designed on the top as the winner of a competition, said to have been completed between 1667 and 1670, with the great facade of Buckingham Palace, with the design attributed to British antiquarian draftsman Edward Bloor in 1847 and completed in 1850 on the bottom. How could they have built massive architecture like this during a time of low technology, according to the history we've been taught? We can't even build like this now. The Indus Valley civilization flourished in the basins of the Indus River, which originates on the Tibetan plateau near Mount Kailash, and ultimately flows along the entire length of Pakistan to the Arabian Sea. There is terrace farming along the Indus River as well. The ancient civilization that flourished here was known as the Harappan civilization, after Harappa, considered a type or model site of the civilization. Harappa is on the Ravi River, southwest of Lahore. There is said to be a legacy railroad station in the modern village of Harappa, dating from the British Raj on the Lahore-Multan Railway, construction of which was said to have begun in 1855. I don't believe this is truth. I have come to believe, for numerous reasons, that all transportation infrastructure was built by the ancient advanced civilization, including rail and canal systems, and not by the people we are told built it. They are all integrated, massive engineering projects, and the same around the world. The discovery of Harappa, and soon afterwards Mohenjo-Daro, was said to be the culmination of work beginning in 1861 with the founding of the Archaeological Survey of India during the British Raj. Mohenjo-Daro was one of the largest cities of the ancient Harappan civilization of the Indus River Valley, and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, said to have been built starting in 2500 BC, and one of the world's earliest major cities. Here's the thing about the cities of the Harappan civilization. They were known for their urban planning, baked brick houses, elaborate drainage systems, water supply systems, clusters of large non-residential buildings, and metallurgy. I even read where they had streetlights and extremely accurate systems of weights and measures. Between 3300 and 1300 BC. Moving along the alignment, Faisalabad is next, the second largest city in the Punjab province of Pakistan, after Lahore. We are told that historically it was one of the first planned cities in British India. It is a major industrial and distribution center because of its central location in the region and connecting roads, rail, and air transportation, as well as a major center of industry, with major engineering works like the Faisalabad steam-powered grid station. and millworks of all kinds. There are canals in Faisalabad. This is the Lialpur Galleria on East Canal Road in Faisalabad, with its combination ancient Eastern and Western looking appearance. Faisalabad was formerly known as Lialpur. Among many other things, the Galleria is a shopping mall. The following pictures are associated with city housing of Faisalabad, described as a high-end housing society with a gold standard lifestyle. They look more like ancient Egyptian temple ruins and an archaeological site than a residential neighborhood. This is called the Gumti Monument in Faisalabad's Kenab colony on the left, which has similar characteristics to Western infrastructure, like the World War I memorial said to have been erected in Washington, D.C. in 1931, which would have been during the Great Depression, on the right. This is a close-up view of the Gumti Memorial, where we find the same two design patterns I highlighted at the beginning of this video, the 8-pointed star, and what I am going to call an infinity pattern for lack of a better description. Like I said earlier, I have found these patterns together in places across countries and continents, like the Moorish Kiosk in Mexico City, and 8-pointed stars and the designs of the ceiling above the chandelier of the abandoned Loews Theater on Canal Street in Manhattan. This journey on the alignment through Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan has revealed much about the workings of the British East India Company to create the conditions for the complete downfall of the high Moorish civilization, which was here around the 1850s. It brings to mind the opening of Japan, starting on July 8, 1853, when Commodore Matthew Perry led 4 U.S. Navy ships ordered by President Millard Fillmore to Tokyo Bay with the mission of forcing the opening of Japanese ports to American trade by any means necessary. After threatening to burn Tokyo to the ground, he was allowed to land and deliver a letter with United States demands to the Tokugawa shogun, Ieyasu. The shogun Ieyasu died a short time after Perry's departure in July of 1853, leaving effective administration in the hands of the Council of Elders, though nominally to his sickly son Ieyasu, who was the Tokugawa shogun from 1853 to 1858. The Tokugawa shogunate is called the last feudal Japanese military government. Perry returned again with 8 naval vessels in February of 1854, and on March 31st of 1854, the Japanese Emperor Komei signed the Japan and United States Treaty of Peace and Amity at the Convention of Kanagawa under threat of force if the Japanese government did not open the ports of Shimoda and Hakodate to American vessels. Histories like these in Japan and throughout historical India really make me wonder if there were places that were not affected by the global mud flood and were quite literally taken by force. I'm going to end this video here and pick up the alignment in Afghanistan in the next video.